Hello there, everyone. This is Ocean Jedi Master. I'm here doing a breakdown of the first two episodes of Ahsoka. So if you haven't seen it, spoiler warning now. I'll give you 10 seconds to click off. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so in episode 1 I took some notes here. First off, the first thing I wrote down here is the show that they're using is actually an Edit-class show which was used during the Clone Wars. It was a Jedi Diplomat shuttle. So that was really old. And it's really useful since it would be old, since it was used during the Galactic Republic and Clone Wars era, so it would be off the New Republic's grid. Secondly, the Senator Jaikel that we see on Lothal, the senator that the governor used. Jaikel appeared in Season 1 of Rebels and then came back in Season 4. He was one of the allies to the Ghost Crew. And the governor was actually Ryder Azadi, introduced in Season 2 as a friend of Ezra Bridger's parents, and was the former governor before Price took over, and it looks like that way he's remained as governor after Lothal was freed. Not much to see there, but on Hera's jacket, going back to Hera's jacket, we see the Starbird symbol, which is the symbol of the rebellion, but we don't see any ordinary one. We see the one that Sabine used throughout the Rebel series. It's also seen on her jacket, on Sabine's jacket as well. I noticed a lot of drawings in the old content, which was Ezra's former home before the Ghost Crew, and Sabine's taken it over. First, we see some stormtroopers with stormtrooper helmets, paintings of stormtrooper helmets with the X on it. That's a reference to her room. We see her room in Rebels, and it has those symbols. But we also see symbols of Loth Cats and Loth Wolves drawings. And also, the jacket that Sabine has, it's very similar. The clothes that she wears in general are very similar to Ezra's original look in Seasons 1 and 2 of Rebels. Very, very interesting. Along with the fact that she has 9 years of Ezra's disappearance, it seems as though she is dealing with some type of PTSD or trauma of that fact. And Morgan Elsbeth is revealed to be a Night Sister. Night Sisters were seen in Rebels and more vividly in Clone Wars. It seems as though we have another survivor of that purge. Yay? I guess the Night Sisters are basically Force Readers, but witches. Second, I noticed Shin's lightsaber. It looks very similar to Kanan's lightsaber, but she's obviously done way more improvements on it, or modifications to it, which is why Hu Yang didn't pick that up. But that lightsaber is, until proven otherwise, I'm saying is Kanan's lightsaber. The probe droids, the probe droids Shin uses on Lothal, they're really similar. They're small. They're like the probe droids Darth Maul used in Phantom Menace. They were small. They're smaller and different color, but it's the same design. And then Ahsoka makes a reference to Season 5 of the Clone Wars when she leaves Anakin. That is whole arc of itself. And as for Sabine's survival at the end of Episode 1, because she does survive to Episode 2, she's seen to survive. I think people are gonna make fun of this and make memes on how, Qui-Gon didn't survive his jabbing. Well, two things. First, Sabine's got in the lower half of the torso, and Qui-Gon's was more in the gut area. Sabine's was like the lower right hand of the torso area. But on top of that, we also see in Phantom Menace, he was able to survive for a few minutes after being stabbed to give Obi-Wan his last war until Obi-Wan defeated Maul. He died in Obi-Wan's arms. Second, Ahsoka didn't waste any time. They left. Both Shin and the droid left to prevent being engaged by Ahsoka. So Ahsoka had plenty, which was able to give Ahsoka enough time to get Sabine medical attention. That medical attention we see her getting saved her life. So I don't care who's going to complain about that. No. There was no force healing, not that bullcrap, but Sabine got medical attention, which most likely saved her life. The Great Beyond. The Great Beyond is basically where Ezra and Thrawn are. Basically, a different galaxy in of itself. Originally we thought unknown regions because that's where Thrawn was. I personally still think maybe the Great Beyond is part of the unknown regions. So I feel like the unknown regions will probably be a better place for Thrawn to be. But we'll see. That part's still in question. The T6 shuttle, the shuttle that Ahsoka used, is a T6 shuttle, a shuttle for Jedi diplomats. It's another diplomatic shuttle, which we see in the Clone Wars and I believe also Tales of the Jedi. Not much to say on that one, except for Ahsoka has used it several times before, and this maybe I wouldn't 100% count on it, but it'd be nice if it's like maybe the one that she flew with Plo Koon in season 2, or maybe the one she used in Forces of Destiny with Anakin and Padme. Anyways, moving on for that. Phantom 2. The Phantom 2 is the Phantom ship that Hera and Chopper were in Episode 2. Then it's called the Phantom 2 because the first one got destroyed in Season 3 of the Clone Wars. But the Phantom 2 is actually a Clone Wars era Sheta P-class Separatist shuttle. Basically, it was a shuttle for the Separatists to use that could act as somewhat of it helped escort VIPs and stuff. We saw how they got it in Season 3. Hu Yang, the droid that we see, was actually a droid that's thousands of years old. He helped younglings construct the lightsabers. We see this in the Clone Wars. In fact, Ahsoka met we met Hu Yang actually in that Clone Wars season, which was Season 5, because she met him originally when she went on her trial for a Kyber crystal. Hera and Chopper. Chopper is a psychopath. If you don't believe me, look at the Rebel series. But Chopper was a Clone Wars veteran who started in the Battle of Ryloth. His Y-Wing was shot down near Hera's family house, and she salvaged him, and those two have been together ever since. Hera is also the son of Clone Wars veteran and Clone Wars hero and veteran Cham Syndulla. Corellia. Corellia, for those who don't know, is the plane that makes things like the Millennium Falcon and other kinds of ships, but it's also the home of Han Solo. Sabine's lightsaber training was done during Season 3 of Rebels by Kanan Jarrus, and that it seems as though Ahsoka, when she took Sabine on as her Padawan, quotations on Padawan because she's, as you'll see later on, I'll get to why I'm putting quotation marks later, only taught her with lightsaber combat. Which brings us to the next point, the quotation marks. Sabine is not force sensitive. Hu Yang confirmed that. He said, with his line about her force aptitude would be way worse than anyone he had ever met. Morak is Barriss Offee. I believe it is. This one is smart. This Inquisitor is way too smart. When that Inquisitor, who is more nimble, so it could be Barriss, activated second blade, he or she didn't activate the second circular handle, like most Inquisitors do. Meaning, because that part was always a big weakness. If you see, most Inquisitors died because of that. So it shows that this one knows that weakness and won't have to do it unless he or she needs to. And lastly, the shuttle that leaves Corellia, that shuttle ship, it seems to be attaching to a huge version of the hyperspace rings used by things like the Delta 7, Eta 3, the giant interceptor, I forgot what it's called, I think it's Eta 7 or Eta 3 something, and the Z95 head hunter, no, not Z95 head hunter, I mean, the T7 clone turret, I think that's what it's called. Things like those would use hyperspace rings to plot choices because they didn't come with built-in hyperdrives. So it seems to be a huge version of that. I believe that is all, so until next time, bye!